Demand for housing in Denver continues to push home prices up in the metro area, so much so that some home buyers are feeling squeezed out and wonder what it'll take for them to buy a house. For more on that, we are joined by our real estate expert this morning. Lane Lyon is a Denver realtor and managing broker for Coldwell Banker. Lane, good morning.
Good morning to you, Gary. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you. All right, so we know mortgage rates are one of the factors continuing to drive all this demand. Even so, you say there are some deals out there if you look.
You've got to look for them and sometimes wait for them, Gary. You know, the Denver Metro Association of Realtors says we ended up with about 12%, right around 11, 12% more homes on the market at the end of last month, which is good news, but we're still dealing with some very small numbers. So keep that in mind. I have 3 ways for you this morning to deal with the demand if you're looking for a house right now. First of all, look for homes that have been on the market for a couple of weeks. They may be ready for a price reduction and you don't have the competition. Also, if you're not afraid of a little work, we're seeing some opportunities with homes there compared to all the competition for that nicest house on the block. And if you need to sell your home in order to buy a home, this is a good time of the year to do that. We're seeing more sellers willing to consider a contingent offer, but here's the but, Gary, you still have to make it a strong offer to make it worth the risk for that seller. But if you're in that situation, this is a good time of year to think about that.
Okay, some good tips there. So let's talk about this. Supply and demand has been really tough for people who are trying to build a new home. So what are some of the issues that they're facing now?
Well, new construction was a really attractive option because there just wasn't enough to go around. And then came challenges with new construction. Local builders have been doing their best to keep up, but the industry as a whole has really had a lot of challenges over this year. First of all, the crush of demand earlier this year, of course, rising lumber prices we've talked about here on the show, labor shortages, all have led to closing delays. We're seeing this here locally where some buyers are waiting even several months for closing, sometimes due to materials that are on back order. They just can't get appliances in, cabinets, roofing materials, things like that. Lumber prices have come back down, but I don't expect to see home prices coming down right now. So keep that in mind. I'm seeing builders moving to fewer choices and selections when you're building, just to kind of keep ahead of this, and more open-ended pricing with just some builders, just in case the cost of materials goes up between now and the time your home is done. So don't be surprised if you don't know your final price until you get closer to closing, Gary.
Builders have been feeling a lot of pressure to kind of help alleviate the demand for housing out there. So are they stepping up, do you think?
Well, they're stepping up, but they're doing it in a very calculated way, Gary. And this is because they were burned, quite frankly, during the recession. So I think you're going to hear calls for more affordable housing, more income qualified housing as we move forward. I just came back from a national conference for our company where there was talk about home builders across the country looking at ways of doing single family homes for rent, more lease to own options. These are all ways to make housing available and affordable moving forward, which will be good news. At the end of the day, the housing market continues to be very strong, which is good news from an economic perspective. Of course, we'll keep an eye on it all for you right here on 9 News.
Absolutely. All right. Always good to talk to you, Lane. Thank you much. Appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Okay. Bye.